So today, I'm going to share a story about a very famous haunting. But before I dive into the details, I want to make something clear. My channel, and this video in particular, isn't about convincing anyone that the paranormal is real or that ghosts exist. It's about telling interesting stories. And I enjoy covering topics from the darker side of life, true crime, unsolved mysteries, and the like. These are simply topics I find compelling. This particular story is of great interest to me because it has plenty of photographic evidence, and there are multiple witnesses who corroborate the strange events. Not necessarily to affirm that ghosts exist, but to confirm that something unexplainable was happening. And that's where the intrigue lies: what actually occurred if it wasn't a haunting. Let's explore it together. Here's the short version of the story. A single mum, named Jackie, moves into a new house with her kids. Soon after settling in, she begins hearing strange noises, pebbles falling in the walls, and footsteps in the attic. She brushes it off initially, but then her friends, her ex-husband, and even a babysitter start to experience similar odd phenomena. Things escalate, leading to priests, landlords, and even Child Protective Services getting involved. A paranormal investigator eventually comes in, armed with cameras, and documents some chilling footage. The events lead everyone to question, could this really be a haunting? Or is there another explanation? So, let's dig deeper. The story begins in 1989 when 23-year-old Jackie Hernandez, after separating amicably from her husband Al, moves into a small, modest house in San Pedro, California, with her 2 children. It's a stressful time. She's juggling school, multiple jobs, and trying to make ends meet. A month into living there, after a long day at work and school, Jackie sits down to relax, watching TV. Her kids are asleep, and she's just trying to unwind. Suddenly, she starts hearing what sounds like pebbles falling inside the walls. At first, she thinks it's just some critter up in the attic, perhaps knocking pebbles down into a gap. But then she hears what sounds like footsteps in the attic. Startled, she listens closely but doesn't hear it again. Rationalizing it as her mind playing tricks, she brushes it off. A few days later, her friend Susan Ober comes over to hang out. As they're chatting, they hear a loud bang from the kitchen, like something had fallen. Jackie mentions the odd noises she'd been hearing, but Susan isn't fully convinced. Still, the two of them head to the kitchen to investigate and find that a picture frame had fallen from the wall. Nothing unusual so far, but what really stood out was that the nails that had held the picture were now standing upright on their heads, right next to the picture. Both women are perplexed. It's almost impossible for the nails to have come out of the frame and landed perfectly like that. Susan, though slightly unnerved, doesn't want to frighten Jackie, so they don't dwell on it. Instead, they decide to just put the picture and nails away and avoid the topic. But later that night, Susan leaves and Jackie, still trying to make sense of the situation, has a 16-year-old babysitter named Tina come over to watch the kids. Jackie hasn't told Tina anything about the strange happenings at the house. But Tina, while checking on the kids, experiences something odd. As she approaches one of the bedroom doors, it suddenly swings open on its own. She initially thinks the house must just be uneven or something, so she shuts the door, only for it to start opening again as soon as she turns around. Tina tells Jackie about this when she returns home, and Jackie, surprisingly, reacts with concern rather than brushing it off. This piques Tina's curiosity, but neither of them can make sense of it, so they leave it at that. The next day, Tina comes back to the house. As they're standing in the kitchen, talking about the kids' schedule, Tina notices something strange. She points out a weird light in the corner of the kitchen, which Jackie is certain wasn't there before. They both look at it in confusion as the light starts to move. almost like an orb floating around the corner of the room. Now, Tina and Jackie are really unsure of what's going on, and the odd occurrences are starting to pile up. To their surprise, they take a photo of the light, capturing what appears to be a strange, floating orb, with the pebbles falling in the walls, footsteps in the attic, the picture falling with the nails arranged perfectly, the door opening by itself. And now this mysterious orb of light. Jackie can no longer brush it all off. She's now fully convinced that something unexplainable is happening in the house. But she doesn't know how to share her experiences without sounding crazy. Eventually, Jackie confides in her ex-husband Al, showing him the photo of the orb and telling him everything that's been happening. Al, while sympathetic, is skeptical. He figures maybe it's just an act. Some cry for attention because Jackie is feeling lonely and overwhelmed. But he agrees to humor her, suggesting they call someone to figure out what's going on. As things continue to escalate, it seems like more and more people are witnessing the bizarre occurrences, leaving Jackie with an overwhelming sense of confusion. What exactly is happening in this house? And can anyone explain the strange events that keep occurring? This story is a chilling example of a paranormal encounter that left a deep emotional and psychological mark on the person involved. The strange occurrences in the house, the unexplained writing on the closet walls, the terrifying experiences reported by Jackie and her friends, and the unsettling actions of the paranormal investigators all make it seem as if there was something truly supernatural going on. There are a few potential explanations, but none seem to fully account for everything that happened. It could be a psychological phenomenon, perhaps heightened by the stress Jackie was under, including her overworked state and the threat of losing her children. Stress and anxiety can sometimes cause people to perceive things that aren't there, or distort their reality. But it doesn't explain all of the physical evidence, such as the writing on the wall, or the camera being moved in the attic. The actions of the paranormal investigators, who were otherwise skeptical, but still found themselves experiencing strange events, are also difficult to dismiss. Their sudden shift from disbelief to fear points to something truly unsettling. Additionally, the physical marks found on one of the investigators after being yanked into the attic add an element that suggests this wasn't just a case of mass hysteria or imagination. While there may be alternative explanations, such as psychological stress, misinterpretations of events, or even some kind of physical disturbance, this case certainly doesn't fit neatly into any single category. It remains one of those mysterious instances that blurs the line between what we can rationally explain and what might lie beyond our understanding. It's fascinating to hear different perspectives on this kind of story. Some might argue it's a case of psychological breakdown, while others will firmly stand by the paranormal explanation. What do you think? Could this simply be an extraordinary series of coincidences? Or is there something truly paranormal going on here?